to a very special edition of Cover Story as we take a look at the year gone by. Politically, of course, it's been a pretty tumultuous year with the fall of a decade-old Congress government and the rise of Narendra Modi. As for the new kid on the block, the Aam Aadmi Party, it has been somewhat of a slippery slope. But first, we are going to be taking a look at what Team Modi has to say about the new Prime Minister.
गोवा की वो ऐतिहासिक मीटिंग किसी को नहीं भूलेगी, लेकिन मुझे वो क्षण नहीं भूलेंगे क्योंकि मीटिंग शुरू होने से पहले भी मैं और मोदी जी, अरुण जेटली जी, नितिन गडकरी जी बाहर बैठकर कुछ बातों पर चर्चा कर रहे थे। और जैसे ही मीटिंग शुरू होने का समय आया, नितिन जी और अरुण जी उठकर अंदर गए। मैं और मोदी जी किसी विषय पर चर्चा कर रहे थे कि युवाओं की भूमिका इस लोकसभा चुनाव में क्या होगी, युवा मोर्चा क्या करेगा। और हम मीटिंग शुरू होने की वजह से हम लोग दोनों आकर सबसे पिछली सीट पर आकर बैठ गए और वहीं पर बातचीत कर रहे थे। और जैसे ही मंच से घोषणा हुई, आप सभी मीडिया के मित्र हमारी ओर आ गए और वो पल नहीं भूल सकते। उस हॉल में जो जोश था, जो रोमांच था, ऐसा लगता था कि मोदी जी आज ही प्रधानमंत्री बन गए।
Are you a little worried about Modi cult? Because Modi's attitude to the RSS has not been very friendly. You know what happened with Sanjay Joshi, Suresh Soni. There's so many examples.
These are all, from time to time, media gives different interpretations. If I tell you, just 6 months ago, when Mr. Modi's name was announced as the Prime Ministerial candidate of the BJP, entire media went to town saying that this was thrust on the party by the RSS.
Right.
It was RSS support that finally clinched the issue. That was the projection given to the issue. So now you are saying that we are worried about Modi. Either both statements are wrong.
So which statement is correct? You tell me. Was Modi RSS choice then?
I'm saying both are wrong. I'm saying.
But something has to be right if both are wrong. And
no, you can be wrong multiple times.
What about the RSS? RSS is never wrong. Media.
No, absolutely. We never
I like
do.
That.
We
you
never.
You like Kejriwal now. I think you should join the Aam Aadmi Party immediately.
नहीं, I respect your right to be wrong.
अब लोगों ने तय किया कि मोदी को एक विलन के रूप में लगातार उनको बदनाम करना, इस प्रकार का मिशन कुछ लेफ्टिस्ट और कुछ सेक्शन ऑफ मीडिया ने।
Why are you playing polarizing politics for?
ऐसा नहीं है, ये मुझे लगता है मोदी जी के साथ आप अन्याय करती है। क्या मैं आपको एक उल्टा सवाल पूछता हूँ, क्या गुजरात की सरकार ने अल्पसंख्यक समाज पर, मुस्लिम समाज पर अन्याय करने वाला कोई कानून बनाया, कोई निर्णय किया है? मुझे पता है, राइट तो मुंबई में ज्यादा हुए। क्या राइट मुख्यमंत्री कराता है?
अच्छा, मुख्यमंत्री
कोई भी राइट सरकार और मुख्यमंत्री नहीं कराती, ये तो नेचुरल एक्सीडेंट है, इसको रोकना चाहिए। ये अनफॉर्चुनेट है। नहीं तो फिर आप मुजफ्फरनगर क्यों नहीं स्टॉप हुआ, मुंबई क्यों नहीं स्टॉप हुआ?
बट वन राइट कांट एक्सक्यूज अनदर राइट।
आप केवल देखिए, जो लेफ्टिस्ट माइंड के लोग हैं उन्होंने तय किया है कि मोदी को, आरएसएस को, बीजेपी को, सबको इस प्रकार से ब्रांडिंग करना कि ये एंटी माइनॉरिटी है, एंटी दलित है और वोट बैंक पॉलिटिक्स के लिए इसका उपयोग करना। और कांग्रेस का सबसे बड़ा कैपिटल अगर कोई है तो डर है, फियर। इनका कोई मैनिफेस्टो अगर नहीं है, इनका एक शब्द का मैनिफेस्टो, उसका नाम है डर, फियर। ये डर या फियर माइनॉरिटी के मन में पैदा करो कि देखो मोदी आ रहा, बीजेपी आ रहे, आपको कटवा देंगे, पाकिस्तान भिजवा देंगे, सुरक्षित रहना है तो कांग्रेस को चुन कर दो। और कांग्रेस ने 66 सालों में मुसलमानों को चाय की टपरी, पान ठेला, कबाड़ी का दुकान, ट्रक ड्राइवर और क्लीनर, इसका कुछ नहीं दिया। और कांग्रेस मुसलमानों का केवल यूज एंड थ्रो ऐसा उपयोग करना चाहती है।
Is it like working with Modi? Because we've heard a lot of things about him, but we have someone here firsthand. How is he such someone to work with?
I think
are all the stories true?
It's an amazing experience. I don't know what the stories are, but I can definitely say that I don't find any of the stories very true, except for the fact that he's a man on a mission. He knows his mind. He's not into talking, but he's into acting and delivering. That is what the moral of, I think, this government is going to be, is to deliver, and not just to deliver words, but to deliver in action.
Every minister is working with junoon, with passion. And when the government is all working with passion and with a clear-cut mission, we are going, and without commission, then we are going to achieve lot.
So mission and no commission.
Yeah, and for the people, this will be important.
He is ready by 5:30, and then he is, through with all his newspaper reading, yoga, everything by 7, then get into the war. These are, you know, certain guidelines in one's life which inspires others.
मोदी जी की रिमोट कंट्रोल देश की जनता के हाथ में रहने वाला है। देश की जनता ने मोदी जी को चुना है, हमें कोई छुपाने की बात नहीं है। मोदी जी आरएसएस के स्वयंसेवक है, वो कभी छुपाते नहीं है। उनकी जो जिंदगी आज बनी है वो आरएसएस की संस्कार के कारण, भारतीय मूल्यों की संस्कार के कारण वो इस प्रकार की जिंदगी वो आज जी रहे हैं, बनाए भी हैं। इसलिए माँ और बेटे की जो रिश्ता है और आरएसएस छुपाते नहीं है। उनकी जो जिंदगी आज बनी है वो आरएसएस की संस्कार के कारण, भारतीय मूल्यों की संस्कार के कारण वो इस प्रकार की जिंदगी वो आज जी रहे हैं, बनाए भी हैं। इसलिए माँ और बेटे की जो रिश्ता है और आरएसएस की और मोदी जी की वो रिश्ता है। बेटा योग्य होता है तो माँ उसको रोज नहीं कहता कि फलाना करो फलाना नहीं करो, अब बीच बीच में कह देती है कि बेटा ठीक ठाक शहद रखो, ये चीज खा लो, स्नेह से कहती है। लेकिन योग्य संतान की ये भूमिका की रहती है कि वो अपने पैर पे खड़ा होके माँ की भी सेवा करे।
But this is how he functions. It's also a one-man show. We saw it in Gujarat. We are seeing it in Delhi. Aren't the other cabinet ministers worried about that?
I think it is time you all stop at least reflecting upon Modi ji's bashing for the last 14 years. And you too.
We're not saying it's a bad thing, but we are just worried. I'm worried for you.
You too. I don't grudge that. I respect your right to criticize him, but criticize him in a meaningful way.
But you know, hasn't the Modi-US relationship gone a long way? You know, first there was a boycott of Modi, and now there's actually a summit between Obama and Modi.
Well, I think people want to look forward, and they see Prime Minister Modi as having been elected in a very vibrant way by the world's largest democracy.
Do you see the one-on-one summit as a special message for India? You know, why has Obama singled Modi out for this one-on-one after the UN meet?
Well, I think that it is a sign. I mean, there are many, many leaders coming to the United States, and one of the ways that a president of the United States points out when there are scores of leaders there with whom he's going to have a one-on-one. So I do think it's a very important message.
This kindler, gentler Modi we see is for the first year.
Well, he is a kind guy, I must tell you that. But he is hardened by the life he has led, and he was hungry for action. He wants to go down as great as Sardar Patel. So he will get things done. I mean, I like him because I've known him for a long time, and I tell you, he's a man of character.
As an army man, as a sportsman, what does one look for in leadership, right? A leader who can lead from the front. So in Bharatiya Janata Party, obviously I find now a person of the Narendra Modi stature, of his character, of his attitude, that who has been able to galvanize the whole nation. There may be a few people who have different opinion, but look at the larger youth of the country. So when such a leadership comes, it's like a magnet. It attracts you for a purpose.
Fair, just and reasonable manner, but is anybody allowed to take a decision, or is only the Prime Minister taking a decision?
You're talking to Ravi Shankar Prasad. So many decisions I do take. Whatever is needed, it goes to the Prime Minister, as in the collective sense of the government.
And then there are the Modi baiters, of which the leading lights are Digvijay Singh and Manishankar Iyer. These are people who really haven't stopped taking a pot shot at Narendra Modi ever since he threw his hat into the Prime Ministerial ring, and are carrying on even today when he has become Prime Minister.
And this is the Modi government's existential problem. They have been brought to power by forces which are the most reactionary, dangerous, communal that we have in this country. Forces that brought them to power have not brought Modi to power in order to see him converted into a Nehruvian secularist. They want him to be what Modi was, a pracharak. And so I think this battle between the proto-Modi and Deutero-Modi is going to continue right through the remaining 5 years, and probably the more vicious element of it will come to the fore towards the end of the tenure rather than right at the start.
And it's a very interesting thing. Mr. Modi has cleverly given all the important portfolios who owe their existence or owe their position to Mr. Modi, who have not won the election. Like Arun Jaitley ji has the unique distinction of being the first defense minister along with the finance ministry. Then you have Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad holding important charges. You have Mr. Javadekar in Forest Environment Ministry. All the key ministries are given to those who can't exist without Modi.
That is true. But you also, I think he learned it from Sonia. She had a prime minister who was a Rajya Sabha member.
No, that's all right.
Well, I can tell you, only make one little comment about the BJP headed by Mr. Narendra Modi right now, that we've seen all promises just now. Action is yet to be seen.
Some people cannot remain without power, like Mr. Modi, who put all his might, put all his stakes, and put all the BJP's this thing behind him.
When you are trying to explain the indefensible, you really need the gift of the gab. And congressmen have shown that they are past masters at this art when they try and come up with reasons for their Lok Sabha loss. Whenever we spoke to people about the reasons for the loss, a lot of you have said it's because of communication problems, you know. We thought, they say that you did the policies, but you couldn't communicate them better. So that should be one of the first areas that the Congress should be looking into.
The fact is that it was not a crisis of communication. It was really a crisis of credibility. And the inflection point came in the November of 2010, when the telecom wars peaked with the C&AG report, and our inability to handle the fallout of that in terms of the manner in which it hit the credibility of the government. That is, what really created the perception problem. This became more of a battle rather than between the BJP and the Congress, between corporate India and the Congress. And that is why I say that this was the Rockefeller moment of Indian politics. This is the second Teutonic power shift in Indian politics. The first 91, when liberalization happened and economic power went from government hands into public hands, into private hands. And this is the first time when corporate India made a very, very concerted bid for political power. And they did not place their bet on a political party. They placed their bet on one man.
Yeah, let me tell you one thing. In every sector, the UPA government has done exceedingly well, except on the issue of statecraft. We have failed on the issue of statecraft. We have failed in the perception war. We have failed in the communication war.
But
so otherwise,
been ruling for the 3/4 of our independence, or 2/3 at the
we unfortunately did not realize the importance of 24/7 media channels.
As I told you, I was opposing dynasty since the time when Indira Gandhi tried to push Sanjay forward, and he would have become her successor had he lived. I think it's wrong. I think that whole trend has been very dangerous to democracy, and it is not in the Congress tradition. Congress is a historic democratic party, the Congress which was led by Mahatma Gandhi was a democratic party under which my uncle trained, under which my parents trained. There was no room for family rule or anything of that kind in it. And my uncle would have been appalled, I think, at the developments that later took place.
But are you ready and prepared? Post the loss, I have not seen any introspection. We've heard.
Well, I'm told by
Chintan Shivar on the cards.
Well, I share your concern, but that's as an outlier. I'm told that had I been closer to the center of things, then I would have been able to see the very vigorous introspection that is going on. But assuming that such introspection is going on at higher or more core levels, I'm afraid I don't know what it is. And I'm content to wait until the Antony Committee reports, and presumably thereafter we will have Chintan Shivar or something equivalent to that very quickly. But I caution that even the Anthony Committee report with which I was involved, which submitted its report in November 1999,
Exactly,
it didn't reach the working committee for about 7 months, and even then in bowdlerized form.
But even now it's not been implemented.
And even now it's not been implemented. You're absolutely
I
right.
think when you joined politics, I remember you were not keen on it. You were saying no. Now, 2 months, one election later, have you changed your mind?
No, I advise him not to get into politics because people think it's a very glamorous kind of life, and Netas having a gala time, a grand time. But I have seen, the last 40 years of my political career, it's very tough.
Any regrets now that you...
No, not at all.
Is it all as bad as the father says?
In fact, as he said, he was the only person. Him and actually Milind Deora, I remember speaking to him once about it, and he said, trust me, don't get into it. It's the most thankless job.
This has been the year that saw the rise and fall of Arvind Kejriwal and his muffler. And yes, he admits he made a mistake in resigning after 49 days as Chief Minister. And yes, he also admits that he may have lost the middle class vote. But yet, despite all this, he still remains the dominant part of the political narrative, at least in the capital city of New Delhi.
In Lok Sabha, we actually did gain from Congress votes. What happened is that we lost some of our core votes, which is middle class voters, people who sympathized with the movement. They said, we voted you for governance. We didn't vote you to come out. So the move about resignation, which we thought was sacrifice. We thought we were being different from parties. We were not sticking to chair. But that's not how people received it. People thought we were abdicating our responsibility. People wanted us to govern. They wanted us to compromise if necessary. People wanted us to sort out their day-to-day problems, not only the Lokpal thing. So we erred in judgment. People were unhappy. They punished us for us. And in democracy, you learn from the people. You say, all right, boss, I've learned the lessons. But I'm confident that they won't punish us twice for the same offense. That's the basic tenet of the law. You're not punished twice for the same crime.
Gandhi's agitation was against a system which did not have a rule of law. It was a monarchical system. Gandhi fought against a monarchy. We are a republic governed by a rule of law. Yes, protest is a form of speech, is a form of expression against the government. If the chief minister of a state wants to protest, there are ways of doing it. Not this way.
No, of course I'm saying that. I'm not underestimating his capacity or anything like that. But his stability...
Did you underestimate it earlier?
I did. I must tell you very frankly that I didn't realize that this was the kind of thing that he had. It's only later I probably was too busy governing and doing things, where administration required my attention. So I didn't really realize that.
It has been over 10 years ever since Rahul Gandhi entered politics, but he is yet to show signs of a consistent and credible leadership. But his Congress colleagues don't seem to have given up on him, at least on the record. So watch and see as to how some of his colleagues try and explain his rather reluctant brand of leadership. I'm going to ask you to clarify on an earlier statement. What you said about Rahul Gandhi, that he doesn't have the temperament of a ruler.
See, I have said that we all wanted Mr. Rahul Gandhi to become the leader of the parliamentary party in Congress in Lok Sabha. But he has always been a person who does not go for power. He's not power hungry. If he wanted, he could have become a minister, even a prime minister.
Amethi is a symbol of dynasty rule of this country.
That's
मैं जब आता हूँ तो लोग कहते हैं कि एक दो आदमी मुझे मिला. He said कि everyone is welcoming me, but I came across a 60+ gentleman, and I said कि बाबूजी देश में करप्शन खत्म करना है, वंशवाद खत्म करना है, ये जो घरानों के राज हैं, तो मुझसे बोले अरे का वंशवाद खत्म करना, राजा का बेटा तो राजा हुई है. अब ये जो एक कंसेप्ट है कि राजा का बेटा राजा होगा, ये तो डेमोक्रेसी के लिए क्लॉट है.
This, as I said, this 2014 elections was a lesson in humility. Did they just vote out on the basis that, as the media says, that Rahul Gandhi ji was not leading from the front? I don't think so. The people of India saw Rahul Gandhi ji addressing massive rallies across the country.
And then rejected him.
No, they rejected the party. But that's what we have to understand.
The party, as represented by Rahul, has been...
Well, we have to you don't have to jump to conclusions. It's necessary to sit back and relax and analyze carefully what is the actual reason. Was it our policies?
Why did
was
you
it our
lose?
schemes? Was it our communication strategy?
Called him the Prince Charming of the media, Rahul Gandhi. But now he's no longer the Prince Charming of the media. Media is, you said that we are very nice to him. We're not so nice to him. What do you make out of his role as a 100 days of Rahul Gandhi as an opposition leader?
I'm not supposed to comment. It is for him and his party. Many people are not listening to his voice also. Except to give him a gentle advice if he is willing to take him. Please seriously ponder. I'm not supposed to comment. It is for him and his party. Many people are not listening to his voice also. Except to give him a gentle advice if he is willing to take him. Please seriously ponder as to how your party got reduced to 44. The lowest ever in your history. That's for you to ponder. When you were the face of the campaign. That's the first thing I'd like to tell him. And the second, when he's saying Narendra Modi has asked to control corruption, there is no case of corruption in our government. Yes, we are suffering legacy problem of Mr. Rahul Gandhi's government. That we are setting right, from coal block to everything.
I don't hide the fact that I always have believed, right from 2004 when we both became MPs at the same time, that the party's leadership and even the government's leadership should be more engaging with the people of India through the media, without the media, through social media. It's something which unfortunately hasn't happened for a long time. Now, the way I look at it is, different individuals have different philosophies of communication.
Mr. Pawar's equation with Rahul, because from what we get to hear is that he's not very comfortable working with Rahul.
No, I don't think he has much of a rapport with Mr. Rahul Gandhi, but that's understandable. He's always been a senior leader, earlier in the Congress, then of course when the NCP was formed in 1999. He's had only an opportunity to work with Mrs. Sonia Gandhi and the senior leaders of the Congress party. Now, I'm sure Mr. Pawar would not be as comfortable with the next generation as he would be with his generation. So these are things which keep happening. I think we shouldn't read too much into that. But the fact is, certainly, as far as Mr. Rahul Gandhi and Mr. Sharad Pawar, obviously they do not have the knowledge of each other as much as a contemporary of his time would have.
Congress point of view, there is there is a Modi and then there is a vacuum. We need a person, whether it's Rahul, whether it's Kejriwal or Manmohan, whoever, someone to take on. Why this isn't this
I think
vacuum
Rahul
troubling
will
you?
take over. I think he should take over. There is no use of wasting any more time. He may fall, but then he'll rise again. He should look into the way his grandmother and his father and his uncle, who fell but still stood up and fought back. He's from the same blood. And I'm quite confident he has the guts, but he has to come into the forefront. There is no use without coming into forefront. There is no use. I don't think anything will emerge otherwise in Congress. Because I looked around in Congress. I don't see anybody young enough to really unite all these forces. And he has the legacy. I think time has come when he must jump into the arena and catch the bull by the horn. No more. There's no more time left. He can't stay on the side. There's no way. You can't be on the shore and watch the ship sink. You should be in the ship, trying to take it to the shore.
Do you think Rahul Gandhi left it too late? His coming out, engaging with the public, engaging with the media, letting us know what's on his mind, what's playing on his mind. He's doing it really in the last lap, really. He should have done this more consistently.
I can't comment on why he did it late, and I'm not part of his inner team to know whether he should have done it, and I don't have the ability to advise him.
You are one of the people who are close to him.
No, I mean, I know him. I know him well, and he's a senior leader in my party, but I don't think he listens to my advice, for example. So there's no point in me saying what he should do or shouldn't have done. I believe in politics, when we got a chance in 2004, we should have all hit the ground running. We should have all been, demonstrated our aggression and constructive behavior in Parliament.
You've been watching his interviews, 2 of his interviews. Do you think it's made a difference, him coming out so much, talking to people?
I think, interviews are, they're not easy initially for anyone. When I started doing interviews in 2004, they're not easy. You get nervous. It's not easy being in front of the camera. I can tell any of your viewers today that if I brought them in here and they were asked difficult questions by a senior journalist like yourself, it's not easy to face those questions. At least initially, you need to get practice to face the camera, and that's true for anyone, whether you're an actor, whether you're a politician. Sometimes they're one and the same. But so I think he's starting his whole media interactions now, and I think he's already done 2 media interviews, and I thought the second one was a very good interview. I thought he made some very, very important points, and I can assure you that the more someone gets comfortable with the medium, the easier it is for you to say what you really believe in. And to say it strongly, confidently, articulately.
There is a saying in Urdu, गिरते हैं शाह सवार ही मैदान जंग में, वो तिफल क्या गिरेंगे जो घुटनों के बल चले. ठीक है, गिरते हैं, यहाँ गिरे, वहाँ उभरे, वहाँ गिरे, वहाँ उभरे.
Well, it remains to be seen whether Rahul Gandhi finally graduates with full political honours or not next year. But from us, that's all for now. Thank you for watching Cover Story, and we wish you a very, very happy new year, and see you again same time each week in 2015.